Okay. Okay, looks like it's finally working right. Uh, all right. Hey, Sid, this how you doing? Um, so I was uh, while we wait for some more people to get in, take my shoes off here. But while we wait for some more folks to get in, I actually wanted to talk about something, and this was kind of related to see, it's very shit. Let me see if I can get my thoughts together. I just came back in from visiting family not too long ago, but so let's see. Hey, Sithis, can you hear me? You,
Yeah, I can.
okay, cool. All right, wanted to make sure this was make sure it wasn't like too low. Okay, cool. So there was a lot of stuff, and I last video I kind of did. I might do this a little more often, but not for I don't not to harp on like political or social issues, but I do think that it is important to discuss, or at least kind of take a look at a lot of the issues affecting people on different aspects. So, um, basically, the rant that I did was more along the lines of something that kind of it was cathartic. It kind of helped me like relieve a lot of frustration. Um, Not generally because of the subject itself, but because of how people were reacting to the subject. And as a side note, and see, this is the interesting thing where a lot of this stuff that I was talking about actually, um, um, a lot of, but a lot of the stuff that I was covering, it kind of, someone has, or my teacher had basically sent me they were sending me a message, and they were expressing some of their concerns about. Actually, a few people were actually, some friends were expressing some concerns about like how I was responding to it, and it was like affecting me, and perhaps I should like step away from things for a little bit. And what ended up happening was that gradually more and more things started kind of like interconnecting. So yeah, now I'm starting to remember the full view of what I want to discuss. Um, so let me kind of see if I can start from the beginning. So, as you know, I did a rant about the Canon Hennett event, about how people were reacting to it and how agitated I was that people couldn't just show support for the event and just leave it alone. They had to make it into an issue that it wasn't. They had to make it into a big fight, and it was back and forth. And I, during that, I did quote, or I did show some images or some videos for about a few people who had actually covered some other issues. They were covering non-issues, big blown out of proportion problems. And that's when you have these issues that kind of roll out from every direction, they can affect you both emotionally and mentally. So one of the things I was discussing was how frustrated I was that people were trying to argue that if you brought up this particular incident, you were you were looking for an excuse to ignore other issues and such, and it's like that's ridiculous. Every person has a mental and emotional, basically an empathetic toll, which at a certain point you have emotional energy. You have physical energy, mental energy, and emotional energy. And once you are physically exhausted, you get numb. You can't feel anything. You cannot emotionally feel anymore. And that can take a toll on you both physically and mentally. Because now, arguably, between your mentality and your physiology, directly in the middle is your emotions. They are, because if you think about a particular thing, and if this particular thing you're thinking about makes you emotional, that can affect you physically. And yeah, also sometimes things that can affect you physically can affect you emotionally, and then can also affect you mentally. So it kind of goes back and forth. They're all connected. But I wanted to get a little more detail as to, because this had actually helped me discover a bit of a revelation. And I'm actually, not only do I want to discuss this particular thing, but I'm actually working on expanding it. And yes, I do have some developmental exercises that I've been constructing together. I'll go over those a little bit later. But I actually want to point out that during this entire process, I guess you could call it. I guess you could say it was synchronicity. I guess that's the proper term. But basically, things were kind of like falling into place as I was as I was going through this. I was kind of surprised that somebody I knew said somebody I knew. She actually is. We actually do energy work together, and she was actually stated that perhaps I was getting a little. Not only was I getting too attached, but also that she had a dream where she had a dream where a mythological figure had basically approached her and given her a vision that was involving me, and the description they were using was that I was basically allowing my ego to kind of like overshadow myself. And a lot of people who know about spiritual advancement, the ego is often the time is the enemy. It basically kind of blocks out progress and such. Now, at first I didn't really understand. I was like, I don't see how this is an ego thing, because I'm expressing legitimate concerns about not just this particular child that had died, this Canon Hennett child, but also because I was expressing concerns for a lot of children. And hey Sithis, you got something rolling in the background? I don't know if it's like I can hear something come.
Oh yeah, I do. I'm playing a game.
Okay, you're fine. I just didn't know. It would sound like someone was shouting her on. But as I had, I was looking up. There was a lot more issues that were involving children that a lot of people were not discussing, and I was getting more and more involved in that. And I was keeping my I don't like to, not necessarily like an activism, but more of my involvement with a lot of children who had been like affected in various ways in families. I had been keeping that a little bit less public because I know, but as this particular girl that I work with, was talking about egos and egocentricities and whatnot, whatever. Something I didn't realize this at the time because I was I was confused, but now this is something I really find interesting. I had been working on a I had been working on a story slash game setting slash character for a game setting, and I was doing some reading, and I was actually reading a lot of interest about some I was taking some inspiration from Skyrim just a little bit, and there was a particular mod that that I was looking on a particular mod, and as I was reading it, there was a term that I saw, and anyone who's probably like a big World of Darkness fan probably knows what this is. The Aeromatic. I think it's. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can pronounce this right. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So this is like a lot of different stuff. In this one particularly, it's like a grain, but it's also a thing in Skyrim as well. So, and I was actually accumulating this was actually for a title because basically the description is it's basically a person becoming a new godhead, the dream, and
I know exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So this was basically the I got curious and I saw this term used more and more. The particular time I saw it was because I'll show you this mod.
Hey, Tim.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Where's or may I get a link to the YouTube?
Yeah, sure. Let me do that real fast.
And also, yeah, Talos is one of those Americans.
Yeah, I see, and I was so the concept was that I found a piece of art that I really liked, and we were some people and I were talking about it, and I wanted to work on a really kind of detailed story. And I actually know several story writers. I'm actually strongly considering writing a few pulps or short stories. But in this particular one, I'll show you this real fast. So there was this one called Sacrosanct, right? And it was actually the terms that I was looking into, and so at the very, you can probably see this. Yeah, I posted I posted the link in the come on, load. I posted the link in the chat. I'll pull up one more thing too. But yeah, right here, there were a lot of I was this setting I was working on. I was looking through this. I saw a lot of terms that I thought would be interesting titles, and then there was this one particularly called this one, and it was also part of Skyrim itself, referring to the Godhead. And let me see this. Can you mention me so I can see my friend? Yes, let me do this real fast. I'll go ahead and tell him, add it to him, because he was asking me about joining. I had just remembered. So here's the interesting story about this, or more specifically, here was the inspiration I had acquired. As I was watching a video about this particular subject, about becoming the new Godhead, it was talking about how, all of the world is actually just a dream, it's not real, and there's basically just a God who is dreaming, and everything is, and when the people realize, essentially the people awaken and discover that they are part of a dream, or they are lucid dreamers, or yeah, and when they finally discover this, when they awaken within the dream, they achieve this state known as Kim, and
Or they zero sum, but
yeah, yes, and actually here was the interesting thing is that the dream that my friend was talking me to about, I didn't realize it at the time, but she had the message she had gotten. I was reading the text message she got me, and it was funny. I didn't realize it at the time, but a lot of things she said, it sounded very similar, but I didn't realize it. It wasn't until I was actually watching a video about Amaranth and Chim, because I was wanting to learn a little bit more about it, that I actually said, wait a minute, that sounds very familiar. Where have I heard this before? I went back and I read her text message, and she was basically, I was pushing the state where I'm either going to zero sum, or I have to, I'm at that state where amassing the degree of awakening within the dream is that I'm at that point where I just for reference sakes, it was like I had to amass enough ego to realize I was amassing enough ego to realize to awaken within the dream, but also having to surrender just enough to continue the advancement or the evolution. And that was actually the thing I had discovered, or it was kind of like I didn't realize it at the time. But I think that's really what it kind of hit me. And also because I remember when we were all discussing what we wanted to talk with Amin Johnny about, a lot of people actually brought up lucid dreaming, or being awake within the dream. And I was just kind of like, hey, I really don't understand that. Why would I want to do that? Just to seem practical to me. But now it does seem a little more like, I guess, everything falling into place a little bit more synchronized, where, everybody is saying let's learn lucid dreaming, or let's study lucid dreaming, because I'm at the point where it's time to I'm at the point where I have to awaken within the dream. I have to awaken within the dream because I'm at that fork in the road where I either zero sum, or I hit the next point, or I continue going. And that was actually an interesting thing that kind of started to like slowly fall into place, because it didn't dawn on me for a bit, but now I kind of see that is what is happening. So yeah, I told Amin Johnny that everyone was discussing about lucid dreaming, and he's done a lot of work on that, and that is actually something that I think is actually helpful to me. So yeah, long-winded discussion, such and such. So is that? I mean, Go ahead.
You first. On the forum,
Mm-hmm.
I read a thread about lucid dreams, and it basically stated that, like, when you lucid dream, you're just going to another reality.
Yeah.
I found that quite interesting.
Yeah, and I really, and it's interesting because there is an essence of balance where you have to achieve a level of ego to. I know people often say like the ego is not, well, it's not really a bad thing, but you have to achieve a level of ego to which you are able to awaken, and you're able to stay within the reality of what's going on, and then figure out, okay, where am I going to go from here? And it's just like these little steps. But in that case, I was actually kind of gradually working on some more of I kind of gradually put together. This isn't really like my a practice of my own. More along the line, it's more of a practice that it's an accumulation of practices that I was doing, and I was actually putting them in order. So Robert Bruce has a method which which is the it's his what's the word? It's his full body circuit, in which he pulls energy starts in the feet, pulls energy up through the back, down through the front, and into the dantian. And then you have Johnny's, which is he breathes in through the mouth, down to the dantian, and then on the exhale he pushes it into the root chakra. And then there was a third one I was studying about a Taoist practice of trying to think of the word. Well, basically it's basically like recirculating sexual energy, and it goes from the lower region, generally from I think I pulled this up once before, but it recirculates energy from the reproductive organs. In this case, for men, it would be the testicles. So it was like it recirculates it from the testicles up through the spine, and then out through the front and back into the dantian. So it's this exercise. It was these three combined exercises of basically recirculating energy up and forth, and then storing them, and then just repeating the process. So that was an actual starting. And it would probably go from, like, say, if you were to go, the first exercise would be the Robert Bruce's full body circuit. The second exercise would be Johnny's going from the dantian to the root, and then the sexual energy recirculation, and then back to the second, and then to the first. So it's kind of like you do kind of like this musical, you start from the base, from the root note, you go up, and then you go down, and then you go back up, and then you go back down. So actually I got like a thing pulled up, I could probably say. So it's something like this. Let me see if I can turn this up a little bit more. I think that's as high as it'll go. But it's kind of long. You start off at a one practice. And then you kind of go back down, and then but you just repeat the process of starting from 1 to 2 to 3 to 2 to 1 to 2 to 3, and that is something I was kind of end up working on. And I wanted to actually start including that into a more consistent regiment, because I know that those two particular are extremely powerful and extremely important for fundamental development. I know there's not a whole lot of people on, but I could definitely go over that. And I'm trying to think, was there one more thing? Oh, actually, I found this to be pretty interesting. Let me see if I can pull this up. So I've been actually studying about this. I know I talked about this. I know I talked about this before. but I don't really think I really kind of covered a whole lot about it. Let's see. Or I really did like an actual video of it. But I had seen a video of this particular lady, and she was going over, she was actually going over autophagy and fasting. And, crap, let me see if I can't really find her. Let me see if I can do this. A life. I think this is hers. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, it is dieting with a life, but let me see. So this lady actually kind of, she goes like a few. Oh yeah, here's what I wanted to show you. I actually wanted to post up there, and I'm just gonna skip to the head. I think it's right about here. But yeah, I love studying more. Get out of here. I love studying more about things about involving human health and human evolution. So here's this. I can enhance this a little bit. So here's like she was doing autophagy, fasting, and here was her like before and after pictures that you can see in the top right. And yeah, her face looks, skin looks tighter, and her face looks thinner. But that was something I was. That was something that had been discussed before, and I know that a lot of people who've actually done, like, especially like in Middle and Far, or I guess Indian, Far Eastern, I guess they have more of a restrictive diet and they fast more often, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the mental capabilities that basically what this does is they go over the idea that this actually breaks down damaged proteins in the body, especially in the brain. You'll have what they call misfolded proteins, and they develop, and some of them can develop in the brain, causing you to not be able to think so clearly. I think that's also what causes Alzheimer's and dementia and such, and other mental conditions. And then that process actually restructures brain and body cells. The autophagy does. So that was something I had seen a few days ago, and I wanted to show that because I know someone was asking about it before, and I had just remembered. Yeah, I couldn't. That was all I was able to remember at the topic. But what I will go ahead and do, I know there's not a whole lot of people on, and that's fine, but I can go ahead and go over the process that I was describing a little while ago. And I said this. You can do it if you want, or if you can just watch the replay. Mainly, I'm just doing this for anyone who wants to needs to see it over again, or isn't here and is able to see it later. But the process is that you want to put your attention into your feet. Actually, let me kind of go back up just a little bit more. Something to start off with, especially, is put your attention wherever you suspect there might be tightness or you're not really relaxed, and this has actually kind of helped me a lot too. Try to feel the heartbeat or the pulse, the blood pumping in any area of your body that you think is tight, If you feel like your feet are kind of tight or if your legs are kind of tight, my knees are a bit tight, but and allow it to kind of allow yourself to just focus on the feeling of the blood pumping, and you'll feel the slight pulsation and the tingling, and gradually kind of allow that to expand. And if it helps, you can start from the heart and expand outwardly. Sometimes I do that. But once you kind of get settled, and it helps you kind of develop a little bit more of a stronger sense of feeling, put your attention into your feet. You either in your feet or below your feet, and when you inhale, inhale through or feel the flow going up through the feet and up through the legs, up the back, and around through the front and into the dantian, where your belly, your navel chakra, as Robert Bruce calls it. So, and it would be a good idea to do that. Say 10. Start off maybe 10, and then maybe 20 times, starting off. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna like kind of change up. We're gonna do like the 1 2 3 2 1 2 3. All right. So put your attention in your feet, and then inhale. And it's best if you try to like not inhale slowly, but just kind of like take a deep breath and just not breathe fast, but breathe deep. Inhale, and as you inhale, feel it go. Feel the energy, the flow going up through your feet, up through your legs, through your back, and up to the top of the head as you inhale. And then when you exhale, feel it going from the top of your head, through the front of your face, down through your stomach, and into your navel chakra. And then feel it like kind of soaking in. And then you want to do this, we'll start off doing this about 10 times. Okay, so 1. All right, 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. Okay. And as you do this, you'll probably feel more relaxed, and you'll probably feel like a lot of your muscles kind of like, my shoulders kind of like dropped a little bit, so I have like tight neck and shoulders. But now, after we do that, we're going to move on to number 2, which is you're simply going to be breathing in through the mouth, and as you inhale, breathe through the mouth and feel it flow down into the navel chakra. And then on the exhale, feel it flow from the navel chakra down into the root, which is like the base of your spine. And then do this 10 times. And as you get to the base of your spine, feel it soaking in. So Okay, so we did 1. We're going to do 2. Three. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 'All right. Now we're going to change up. We're going to do number 3. So this one is, you're going to put your attention in, you're going to put your attention where your reproductive organs are. So if you're a guy, you're going to put it in where your testicles are, okay? And if it helps, kind of start imagining that you can feel. I know it's gonna sound weird, but imagine that you can feel your testicles breathing for a little bit. Like inhale, as you inhale, feel them kind of like filling up with air, and as you exhale, kind of feel them deflating. If that helps, you put your attention over there. But when you get ready, so put your attention in your reproductive organs, and then when you inhale, you're going to go from the reproductive organs, and the description I heard was like you can imagine that your spine is like a straw, and it's going all the way up to the top of your head on the inhale. So put your attention, in your reproductive organs, and then inhale, go up the spine. Exhale, and you want to go down the front of the face and then into the navel chakra. Or the navel chakra, excuse me. Sorry, I forgot to count. We'll start over. So that was 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 9, 10. Well, excuse me, that was 9. 10. Okay. So now we're going to move back down to 2. So we're going to do what we did before. We're going to breathe in through the mouth, down to the navel chakra on the inhale. And then from the navel chakra down to the root chakra. One. Two. Three. Four. Five. Six. Seven. Eight. Nine. 10. Alright, now we're going back to number 1. So if you're probably doing this and you can feel like your stomach kind of heating up, that's an expected thing. I assume it's good. I assume that's kind of like your body kind of like your dantian kind of like really kind of working. So that's it. It's a good sign. I know that much. So now if we're going to go back to number 1, where you're going to put your attention in your feet, and then on the inhale, you're going to breathe up through your legs, through the spine, to the top of the head. And on the exhale, you're going to breathe down through the front of the face and into the navel chakra. Two. Three. And if you feel your body kind of like tightening up in some places, that's fine. Just kind of like, go back to relaxing them. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Nine. 10. So, essentially what we did was, from what Johnny says, is that you can only have as much yang energy, and your navel chakra, from what he said, your navel chakra is your lowest, your navel chakra is your lowest point of yang, while your root chakra is your negative, is where yin is stored. So, and he says you can only have as much yang as you have yin. So the process for doing the 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, and then we continue to go. So you go 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, and between doing the 2, which is basically just breathing into the navel the navel chakra, and then moving the energy down into the root chakra, you're kind of like keeping yourself regulated and balanced is the point of that exercise. So that is going to be the purpose of that. I am, if anyone else has any kind of suggestions about what other exercises they would like to see beyond lucid dreaming and Kundalini, I'm going to be pitching it to. Johnny again. I've mentioned him about the few subjects. He hasn't seen the post yet, but I might try to find another way to contact him. In any case, actually, I could probably do this. Let me do this. Probably.
I don't have a suggestion, but I do have something that I was experimenting over the past couple of weeks that I'll share in the Discord.
Okay. What's that?
So on the forum, I was also looking for things regarding dreams, and I come across another thread.
Yeah.
This one had a picture of like Persian words on it.
Uh-huh.
And it said to write those words on your right hand, and so I did.
Okay.
And you were supposed to like get in contact with some entities, but that never happened to me. Instead, I was remembering my dreams a lot easier and a lot more often.
Okay.
And I thought it would be helpful for a lot of people if they tried it out too. So I'll post a picture in the Discord.
Okay, do that. Be good, thank you. Let's see. Let me see. I might just have to do this. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got for right now. There's allegedly supposed to be, the storms are the two storms that are coming into the, are gonna be hitting us in probably about making landfall in the next day. Probably, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I heard about that. 2020's hit hard.
Yeah. But yeah, we're kind of like right there. Or I'm like right there. Once it hits landfall, it's gonna hit us. So
Oof.
it's whatever. This place is always getting hit by hurricanes. It's coming to be expected.
Stay safe.
Yeah, we always are. But we got everything prepped and ready, everything tied down, all that such. But no. But yeah, I think that might do it for the live stream. The lessons are in there. I kind of like changed up there so everybody knows what the practice is. But yeah, if you post, if you read this in the comments, go ahead and post if you got any questions or any ideas or suggestions you want to go over. I'll look into it and I'll be glad to. But other than that, well, thanks again, Sithis. Thanks for joining me.
Yep.
All right. Everyone have a good day and stay safe.